Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to The Naturalist Capitalist. I am your host, Reed Coverdale. And on the show today, I have Ricky Harrington, who ran for U.S. Senate in Arkansas. How's it going, Ricky?
Doing well. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Actually, throughout the election, I was having a lot of congressmen and or candidates for Congress and Senate, and I didn't get around to having you on the show, which is too bad, but I'm glad to have you on now. So that's great. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about your background before you ran for Senate? What was it you did, and how did you become a libertarian?
Yes. First, I have a question about your intro.
Okay. Go ahead.
An SKS I saw you shooting?
That's an M1 Garand.
Oh, okay.
And I'm bump firing it with no bump stock, obviously, but I'm just holding it right and it rattles off like that. So
I was wondering. That's one of my favorite. First rifle I ever had was SKS, and that's what I used to go do my deer hunting with. Just used it on sights. Anyway, I know that's a little tangent there.
I love it.
But before I got into officially running for the United States Senate, I was a correctional professional working as both a chaplain and as a program specialist. Before that, a full-time missionary in China, working and teaching English in universities and also working in the hospitals in China as well. There was a wealth of knowledge gained from that experience, not only the knowledge and growth that a person has whenever they learn about other cultures, but learning about the systems of other governments and other nation states as well. So there was a lot that I gleaned from living there. And what led me to run was kind of being fed up with the system and wanting to do something about it. Initially, the Republican lawmakers were trying to pass a law that was effectively going to make sure libertarians were not going to be able to get on the ballot. So I did my part to testify against it, and it still passed. But the Libertarian Party of Arkansas, along with myself as one of the plaintiffs, sued the state for injunctive relief for ballot access.
So are there a lot of libertarians in Arkansas? Seems like a pretty heavily Republican state, right? Is that do you see a lot of libertarians around? Or
I think, and I think this is probably the same for libertarians around the country. There's some libertarians that engage in the political discourse, and there's some that just are completely hands off. But if you look at some of the data at the elections, there's about 40,000 people that or more that consistently vote libertarian, but there's not that many people involved in the state party politics. And I reckon the same can be said for the Democrat and Republicans, but those are two big political machines that are well funded and have been, running the game for a long, long time. And we are at a disadvantage because of that. And it's hard to be able to get out there and make our mark and let people know what we are about. Have you seen the TV show Billions?
I haven't.
It's a show about Wall Street and U.S. attorneys and the whole legal system interacting with the financial system. But there's like a common thread throughout that TV show where like they're knocking on libertarians or some libertarian wacko. That's how they describe one of the characters that's a manager of a hedge fund. And that is something that I dealt with on the campaign trail, was people saying, "Oh, libertarians are for unrampant capitalism," and for Wall Street. And
Right.
the right answer to that is, well, if we are all for Wall Street, where's that Wall Street money supporting libertarian candidates, getting them elected? Because
Right.
that's what it's like for all the other politicians. They're bought and paid for.
Yeah. So, weren't you the most successful libertarian candidate in the whole country for federal office? You got, I forget what number, you got what, 33% of the vote? Is that what it was?
Yes, sir. About a percentage and some change behind Joe Biden, and about 26,000 people undervoted in that election as well. So yes, it was the anti-cotton vote there, but we had to scratch and fight because there are some people that just didn't participate in that election, whether they believe libertarians are um, to be exactly as the caricature that we see prevalent amongst people in the mischaracterization of libertarians. So, there's a lot of work to do, because what's the point? What is the point of it all? Is it to just kind of bask in this philosophy without, making a difference in this world? Or are we going to have to really do our due diligence, work hard, and to let the people know that we are safe? That's pretty much all the electorate wants to know from candidates. Are they safe? Are they going to come in there and try to destroy things from their perspective? We might have our own perspective of what's going on right now with the current political machine, with the Democrats and Republicans in power. But the key to it all, how do you win elections? You convince the people at the ballot box the best way you can to vote for you. And that's what we have to do. We just have to do a better job at doing that.
Yeah, I saw your debate, which wasn't really a debate because you were there by yourself. Tom Cotton wouldn't show up. But what really struck me about you is that, libertarians tend to fall in the trap of just hating what is, just hating the government, hating the state, instead of being inspiring and really preaching that their philosophy goes beyond ending government. It's a philosophy of peace and cooperation. Um, was that your goal, to have that inspiring message? Instead, were you consciously trying to not fall into that trap like everyone else does, or was it just sort of second nature for you?
Well, as I told someone before, in my life, I've always been in the middle of two kind of opposing forces, whether it be on a small scale or a much larger scale. I've always been in the middle, and brokering peace between those differing ideas and different peoples. It's just been what I've been doing most of my life. So, my goal was to inspire other people to run for office, to educate them on what's going on, and to be a little bit more wise in dealing with one another, and especially trying to cut down on the hyper partisanship. And it's still going on right now, because now the flip side, you remember everybody was trying to say invoke the 25th Amendment on Trump. And after today's press conference with President Biden, they're saying the same thing. It's just the flip side. We continue to vacillate between two opposite extremes, and not find any type of happy medium. And it's unfortunate that people find joy in the suffering of others. And the principles of libertarianism, especially with the non-aggression principle, I don't think there's any room for gloating or finding joy in the suffering of other people, whether it be their political failure or success or anything like that. And we really have to live by what we say we live by, at the same time respecting just the different views of Americans. And we just have to tell them what we're about plainly. And this is the type of person that you're going to vote for, a person that values other people. And that's the core of libertarian message. It's a great message. It's just sometimes the delivery sucks.
Yeah, that's actually why I finally decided to join the party last year, because the delivery sucks, as you said. And the other thing is, you were just talking about unity, and you were talking about it in a general sense, but I've seen just in the Libertarian Party itself, or in the Liberty movement, there's been such a division and so much vitriol from sides that, people who agree on over 90% of the issues, but their level of importance as to where the issues should lie from 1 to 10, or whether they care about cultural issues more than economic issues, or foreign policy issues. They just eviscerate each other. And I've been really working hard to get them to see the bigger picture and see what's going on, and look around us and see what a terrible place our country is in right now. And I'm seeing an appetite for it. I think people are sick of just fighting each other all the time. Do you think that's true? Or?
Well, I've not been involved in the liberty movement for as long as other people have. And what I mean by liberty movement, I mean specifically the Libertarian Party. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of party politics, I don't really get that deep into it, like the inner workings of the inside of the party, because I'm generally outwardly focused, as in I'm focused on trying to see how I can help the people. And this inner caucus warfare that's going on right now inside our party, it's going to destroy our party if we continue along with it. It's a small party. We don't have that much, we don't have the resources that the other two have. And we're not going to be able to compete on the level necessary for people to take us seriously if we engage in these type of arguments that bear no fruit. What measurable fruit is it going to bear in the grand scheme of things when it comes to how this country is ran, when it comes to the representation on state, local levels? How's it going to bear any fruit? I understand that, think tanks are good, but sometimes, not sometimes, there has to be action following the thought process. There needs to be engagement. And if people not buying what you're selling, why do you, come on now, handicaps, right? If nobody's buying what you're selling, you need to find you a new product or put it in a new package.
Right.
That's just a belief, and it's not about watering something down. And this coming from me as a preacher, because sometimes I can't just be as aggressive, fire and brimstone type of preaching, or snake handling type of preaching. Not saying I do any of that snake handling, but you have to be clever in how you speak to people. Because you can say something harshly and then it arouses people's anger, and then you're not going to have a conversation. So that's what I mean. And a lot of times right now, this is the discussion that we're having, is we're somehow watering down our message. What does that matter? Really, honestly, if a person believes that just because you say it in a different manner, we're somehow watering down the message. If there's nobody listening, what does it matter?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I have said that you can tailor your message without changing it, and I don't know if that's the right terms to use, but that's what I've said. Um, I think Tulsi Gabbard was very good at this. If she was speaking to a group of progressives, she could state all of her views that she wanted that would jive with them, and then she could go into a room with libertarians and she could talk for 2 hours with them about stuff they agree on without turning them off. But she hasn't lied about any of her positions. She's just emphasizing where she agrees with people. I think that libertarians should take a page out of her book there, because um, certain parts of your message are relevant to the struggles that the people you're talking to have, and then some of them might not be. So if you're just trying to jam the irrelevant part of the message down an audience's throat that doesn't really resonate with what you're talking about, you're not really accomplishing anything, right?
Yes. I've talked to a couple of people about this, and this is not a shot across the bow to the Mises Caucus or to trash them or anything like that at all. It was just a matter of being practical for me, because if I go talk to someone about Mises or anything like that, or Austrian economics, what does someone who lives in the Arkansas Delta, when it comes to their daily life, care about Austrian economics? And hey, if a person believes that, if they're solid on it, be solid on it. Go ahead. But if you are someone that's trying to be elected for office and you lead with that, if I went around talking about that on the campaign trail to people in Arkansas Delta or in other places, they'd be like, "Man, what are you talking about? Get out of here."
Right.
Nobody cares about some obscure philosopher. What does that have to do with my daily life? I'm out here working from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. Getting soybeans. I don't mean me personally. I'm, projecting
Right.
it. You know, soybeans, farming, timber farming, those type of felt needs that people have. How are we speaking to the people that have those needs as libertarians? And until we realize that, we're going to still spin around here like a marble in a bowl or water going down the drain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you were running against Tom Cotton, and that's no, he's no low profile figure. I mean, pretty much everybody knows who he is. And you did pretty well against him. So, what do you attribute how well you did in the campaign? Was it that you were just willing to meet people on their own ground and you were willing to have a unifying message? Why did you do so well against such a high profile senator when there were lots of other races that were going on with people that you'd never heard of, and they didn't do nearly as well as you did? What do you attribute your success mostly to?
Well, there was a combination of things. Of some people would call it luck, circumstance, that contributed to it being a one-on-one race with Senator Cotton and myself. Um, I would contribute, his mouth to a lot of traction that we gained, and I did a lot of going out and meeting with people at some of the events that went on, some of the protests that were going on, and talking to people, giving them ways to contact me. You have to make a connection with the people that you want to represent. I mean, a real personable connection with them. And what would really, after the independent finally capitulated, which he should have done it a little earlier, that might have gave us a little bit more oxygen to be able to campaign more and fundraise more. But that debate really we raised almost $60,000, I think, in the last couple of weeks of October, and I did a lot of preparation for that, and I prepared myself to do it alone, and also if he was going to show up, and I didn't count him out until the last moment. So it was up until that last moment until they were ready to roll and go live, and it wasn't an easy feat. And I spent a lot of time in prayer. I worked with my team on it, and did the best that I could.
Yeah. So, what's your plan for the future? Are you sticking in the Libertarian Party? Are you going to be involved in politics, or are you just going to cheer on from the sidelines? Or what is Ricky Harrington planning for the future?
Well, I'm hoping to run for governor, or more than hope, I'm going to do it. If the stars align and all this other stuff. But I got to thinking, because there was some funds left over from the campaign, and we won a few counties, and in one of the counties that I did win, the 4th congressional district, if you're thinking logically, it could be a competitive race running for that congressional district for the House of Representatives. If it happened to be a one-on-one race again with a little bit of name recognition that I have accumulated from the previous campaign. But I took a look at what I feel strongly in my heart about, and I thought, well, where can I do the most good? And from the position of governor, I think I'd be able to accomplish what weighs so heavily on my heart regarding criminal justice reform, and working on health care, and just trying to administrate from an even-handed, fair, and consistent manner for all Arkansans. If I happen to win, one of the first things I plan to do is issue pardons for people that have drug possession charges, complete pardons. I think I said this with Mr. Fight last night as well. Wipe the slate clean for them so they can go back to school and put their lives back together. Because if you catch a marijuana possession charge or other drug charges, it's the end of your life, essentially. You might not be in prison for such a long time, but when it comes to, I had a friend of mine who was unable to receive some of the pay protection, the PPP that came out last year to help his employees, because he was a part of the gig economy, but because of a possession charge, it knocked him off right there. And I don't think that's fair, and I don't think it's just in a country that's supposed to be for liberty and justice for all over a plant or any other substance.
I agree. So going from running for U.S. Senate to governor and coming to the realization that you think you can make more of a difference at the local level, do you think that that's a direction libertarians should start thinking in general? Because that is how I have evolved. I mean, my attitude last year was, let's take Congress, let's take the Senate, let's get 3 or 4 people in here. And then just seeing the results, and also witnessing the people who are in Congress and what they're able to do and what they're not able to do. There's only a few in there who vote at all the way we would want them to, and the majority doesn't. So even if we got 20 people in there, we wouldn't be making huge strides in the direction we'd want to. So do you think libertarians should start thinking at a more localized level, and that they'll be able to make a bigger difference in general, or do you think it just depends?
Yeah, definitely. The answer for me would be it depends. And to break it down on why it depends, resources is the most important thing. Um, I do know that most of your um, violation of civil liberties happens at the local level. So it would seem logical for libertarians to run for local office. But there's a lot of things that go into that as well. How involved are you in your community? Do you have a track record of service in your community? Um, things like that. How much money can you raise? And there's not a big need of having a lot of capital to make sure the expenses that your campaign has could be covered on a local race. It's possible, but we also do need people running those high profile races, um, and running good high profile races, because that's where most of the people learn about libertarians. I guess you could say is at the national level,
Right.
but an effective way, I guess, would be at the local level. So the state, county, and local offices, it would be good. It's just a matter of strategy, and it's not a one size fit all type of strategy. I don't think it is either. In any type of area that you're going to have to use strategy, it depends on you, your resources, and also depends on who you're running against and their resources and message. So there's a lot to take into account on that.
Yeah. So if you do run for governor, when is that election going to be? Is that next year or a few years from now? Or when's the governor up for re-election in Arkansas?
November 8th, 2022 is the next election for the gubernatorial election in Arkansas. There won't be an incumbent. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is going to be running. The current attorney general has announced that she is going to be running for governor, and she's doing some kind of interesting things right now. She's announcing these acts, and I really don't understand what she means by announcing acts. She's an attorney general. She's not a legislator,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a dog and pony show while she's doing that. But Trump is going to be campaigning in Arkansas, so my call to arms for my libertarian brothers is this is going to be another high-profile race in Arkansas, and I'll need the support of everyone that is willing to lend aid, whether it be
Yeah.
financially or we need people that are good at making videos. I don't know if you've seen that Really American guy. This is not an endorsement of his videos, or at least the content of them, but the way the videos are made. There's these 1 minute videos that he makes, and they are like fast, hard hitting. There's a lot of information that he puts into that 1 minute, and posts it right there when something is trending on Twitter. And there's some other groups that when something is trending on Twitter, they have like this video out really quick, or they put out a video and it causes the trend. I don't know if it's a chicken or the egg thing, but
Right.
having someone to come out with edited videos during the campaign is going to be something that we need. So if anybody's watching this, please reach out to me, because we'll need it. I want to run a professional campaign for real, and give the Democrat candidate and the Republican candidate a run for their money. I want it
Yeah.
to be competitive.
um, so you mentioned, it's not a one size fits all approach to all the campaigns. And I completely agree with you there, especially since every state and every county and every city is completely different. So whatever position someone's running for, the issues can vary quite a bit. But as far as as you said, that's how libertarians kind of draw attention to their cause. What critiques do you have of how the national campaign was run last year? Do you think we were just victims of being blacklisted by the media, or just having such a divisive race, or what would you have done differently? What are your thoughts on last year?
Well, that I had the same issues of trying to break in with earned media, and especially with the Commission on Presidential Debates, just having an absolute abysmal display of integrity. The Arkansas PBS had more integrity than they had. That's voter suppression right there. If there's somebody that's on the ballot in all 50 states, they need to be on that stage. Doesn't matter what, they need to be up there. And so it's just, I don't want to listen to anybody that talks about voter suppression, because they only want to talk about it when it suits them.
Right.
If you want to talk about voter suppression, you talk about it all the time and in all forms. Have some integrity. This is the whole point of it all, is that if you're going to be an activist, you support people that not only agree with you, but also disagree with you, because it's an issue of principle. I made a post not too long ago on my Facebook page. It was a political cartoon. I don't understand why people call them memes now. They're political cartoons. If somebody, we all know what a political cartoon is. But it was, a picture of, it had pro-lifers and Trump voters and all these other lists. And it had a broad stroke with, on one of the cuffs, it had the Democrat symbol on it. And especially after what happened in January 6th, that was, no, we should never have that happen again. That type of show of force and violent actions for political reasons. But on the heels of that, you saw Brennan, was he a national security advisor?
CIA director.
Well, even worse.
Yeah.
Just lump libertarians in with that. That's not what we about. Don't lie on me. That's a bald-headed lie. And don't lie on me like that. That's what I got to say to him. And I wish I could look him in his face like I looked Tom Cotton in his face and told him something. That's probably why I didn't show up. But anyway. I don't take kindly to folks. I know people are going to say what they want to say, but when somebody's trying to mislead people and lie on me like that, no, I'm not down with that. When I talk to somebody, we talking man to man, and if you got the minerals, just step up and say what you got on your heart, man. I mean, don't hide behind nothing. But if you're going to lie on somebody like that, I'm not strongly against that.
So is the Democratic Party pretty much non-existent in Arkansas, or was it just for that race they didn't run someone, or are they just an extreme minority there, or what is the demographic like?
Well, the Democrats used to be the party that was in control before Governor Hutchinson took office. There was a Democratic governor, but for some reason in our country, it flipped because of the anti-Obama sentiment, and this debate that we are still having over the Second Amendment in our country. I don't think Democrats, and especially me, as being a former Democrat, that right there is what pushed me out of the party, because how can any conservative Democrat run whenever we have, and this is also something that the Republicans have done too, to label others, but the people that bought it, that Democrats are what, baby killers and gun grabbers and all this other stuff. And it's unfortunate that, in this country right now, effective politics is based on mudslinging and negative politics. And, we that feeds into the poor nature of human beings. I hope that we can aspire to be better. We can look to try to build things rather than tear other people down and laugh at their misfortune. But there was a stream of a movement in our country whenever Obama was elected, and whenever Vladimir Putin annexed Crimea, and Americans cheered purely for spite to President Obama. If anybody was a calculating person like Vladimir Putin is, he saw that as a way in, a door in, of making deals with people that don't like Democrats. And I'm gonna tell you, that's what happened. Anybody that's paying attention can see that that's what happened.
So, is there going to be a Democrat in the race for governor, do you think? Or is it just going to be hopefully you against Sarah Huckabee Sanders?
Someone has announced that they're going to run for governor as a Democrat in Arkansas. The first candidate to announce, his name is Russ, I believe. And there is probably going to be someone announcing tomorrow, I've heard, running as a Democrat. But I know this. The Republicans have all announced that they're going to run. And if you are a Democrat and you have access to the funds or that big major party has, why are you going to sit on your hands and not go ahead and measure up the battlefield and set your resources in order to engage the opposition there? So I'm not understanding why they would be doing that, especially on the gubernatorial race. So there's a couple of things that could be going on. They don't have a candidate or a strong candidate to run, and just kind of opening up the field for a lot of lesser known people. And there could be a strong candidate that's just not a part of the ins and outs of the DPA. But if it whatever happens, I'm ready for it, because it's more than just about me here. It's about trying to form this coalition governance that I hope to scratch out. It's a fourth wave type of coalition governance. That's the movement there. That's the goal, where people are voting for candidates and not just party. I was on a podcast earlier this week, and one of the gentlemen told me that he was speaking to his family members, asking them to vote for me. And they said that, yes, we've checked out Ricky and we like his positions, but we just can't vote for him because we don't want the Democrats to gain control of the Senate. So,
Right.
That's that we have to overcome. There's a lot of things that play into overcoming things as a third party candidate, but this hyperpartisanship and fear. So how do you deal with fear? Well, you got to give people hope.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a statistic like 60% of people act out of fear in general, and I think that's why we've seen so many historical tragedies and atrocities take place, because it's easier to give into fear as well. But I do think that hope is more powerful than fear. It's one of the only things that it can really overcome fear. And like you said, hope is going to be a different message in different parts of the country. And I think it's important that people realize that, that when you're running for your small town or for your state or for your county or whatever it is, what's going to inspire hope in those people might not be talking about ending the Fed. They might not even know what that means. You were kind of touching on that earlier. But I'm excited to. I hope you do run for governor. I think a lot of people hope that. And if you do, when do you think you're going to decide by?
Well, right now, I'm doing the strategy part. I'm getting everything that I need lined up. Um, Last campaign, I started off just me and the county treasurer, and I'm the county chair in Jefferson County, and he's the treasurer. So it started off with just the two of us. And as the campaign kind of moved along, and there was a lot of steam being built up, we didn't have the necessary infrastructure, being third party, that the other parties can just roll out. So I want to make sure I learn from my previous mistakes. So we're going through that, getting it all set up, making sure everybody has marching orders, so we can run a disciplined campaign. And our state party is going to be in gearing up for our petition drive. So I will be announcing that in tandem with the state party's petition drive whenever we start that. So within the next month or two, we'll be announcing it in the traditional sense of official campaign announcements.
All right. Well, where can everyone follow you and keep up with you and just keep bothering you to run? Just keep begging you and showing their support for you. Where can everyone go?
You can follow me on Twitter. Rick D. Harrington is at Rick D. Harrington is the handle there. And I'd like to give a bit of advice too, because I did have to claw and scratch to get that verified check there on Twitter. And if you make yourself a campaign page, keep your name general, to where if you run for another office, you don't have to go through the whole process of going and getting verified again, because that's a lot of work, to lose that. So to everybody who's listening, keep it simple. Don't add for what seat or whatever. You can add that yourself whenever you are addressing people. But again, that's the Twitter handle. You can also follow me on Facebook, RDH for Liberty. That's pretty simple right there, rather than the RDH for Senate on Facebook, and my website, rickyharrington.com. You can find me there as well. There will be updates on there, and a lot more information, and tailoring this the message that we're going to be presenting to the people of Arkansas is going to be a little different as well.
There we go. I got one. I got a voter in here for you. I was proud to vote for Ricky last year. When I see Tom Cotton, I don't see Arkansas. I hear, see, and feel Arkansas when Ricky speaks. Cotton was a coward for not showing up to the debate. Well, there you go, man. You're inspiring people. I've heard a lot of people who are a big fan of you. So I certainly hope you run for governor. And I hope you win. I'm not a fan of Sarah Huckabee Sanders myself, and everything that it sounds like is important to you is probably not going to be high on her list. But thank you for coming on. I'll just give you the last word if you got anything else to say, and then we'll close out.
Well, I'm very appreciative for you having me on the show, sir. And I hope that, we as a party can come together so we can show the people of America this message that we have, which is a good message. It's an American message. And we need to get busy on that right there. Just the nuts and bolts of liberty.
All right. Thanks, Ricky. I wish you good luck.
Thank you, sir.